We are live.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Town Hall with Prince George's County Public Schools Superintendent Millard House II. My name is Megan Geberselassie with the PGCPS Communications team. Please note that simultaneous Spanish interpretation is available by dialing 508-924-5155.
Buenas noches y bienvenidos al foro comunitario de esta noche con el superintendente de las escuelas públicas del condado de Prince George, el señor Millard House II. Mi nombre es Lea Reyes y soy del equipo de comunicaciones de PGCPS. Para que sepan, hay disponible una interpretación simultánea en español llamando al 508-924-5155.
In just a moment, you'll hear opening remarks and a presentation by Superintendent House. Following the presentation, the superintendent will answer questions that have been pre-submitted by parents, staff, and community members. Those who are joining us tonight who did not pre-submit a question can still do so using the live chat. If posing a question to the superintendent in the YouTube live chat, please preface your question by typing the word "question" in all caps, followed by your query. This will ensure our team of moderators see your question and can then add it to our queue. We invite questions in both English and Spanish and will address as many as time permits. Before we begin the town hall, a few guidelines for participating in our live chat. These guidelines are designed to ensure a constructive dialogue. First, we encourage you to express your opinions, but please do so with respect for others. Personal attacks, insults, or offensive language have no place here. Also, please keep in mind this is a public venue. For your own privacy, avoid sharing personal information in the chat, whether that's your own information or someone else's, and refrain from sharing the names of specific individuals or other personally identifiable information. We value your participation tonight, and we look forward to the dialogue. Now, Superintendent House.
Thank you, Megan and Leah. We appreciate both of you all. As they indicated, my name is Millard House, and I'm the superintendent of the Prince George's County Public Schools. I'm extremely happy to be here at our virtual town hall. This is, of course, a series of four entitled Listen, Learn, and Lead. In these town halls, my goal is to really do just that, to listen, hear, and truly learn more about this incredible community and how we can serve it over the course of time. Now, teaching and learning and a safe and supportive environment remains number one in reference to the commitment that we want to provide and will continue to be a major part of what we do in the Prince George's County Public Schools. Now, when I arrived in Prince George's County back in July, I immediately started crisscrossing throughout this county to really get a better understanding from Bowie to Akakeek, from the vibrant streets of Hyattsville to Brandywine. It was important for me to get the being there experience as I'm now a resident in the Prince George's County. I had a chance to spend time in our schools and meet incredible educators, administrators, support staff, students, parents, community members that really make up what we know as this wonderful county. So as we gather here this evening, I'm acutely aware of the rich diversity of cultures, backgrounds, and perspectives that really define Prince George's County. And we must not only take pride in this diversity, but we must make it a priority in shaping our educational future. With diversity comes really a certain type of responsibility to quite frankly ensure equity, and that equity is in place for all students. Equity can sometimes be utilized as kind of the buzzword of the month, but it truly must be the principle that guides every decision that we make within our critical strategic work that we do in the school system. Now, as your superintendent, it will be my charge to work towards equitable learning environments and opportunities for all of our students daily. And we started off this school year with 5 different ribbon cuttings. I mean, we were moving from one school to the next. It was an opportunity to celebrate in 5 days these new state-of-the-art middle schools in Suitland, Landover, Adelphi, Capitol Heights, and also Hyattsville. And we'll also be celebrating the opening of one more, the new Colin Powell Academy in Acre very soon. This is a brand new opening for brand new communities, for communities that have been existing, but will affect over 8,000 kids and families in our school district. Now, it's important to realize that these schools were built in just 2.5 years using first of its kind public-private partnership entitled the Blueprint Schools program, as you've probably read about or seen. Now, the Blueprint programs doesn't stop here. We will need to continue building schools over the course of time. As I reflect and have learned about the 200 plus buildings that we have in the Prince George's County, 50 of those buildings, quite frankly, or 50% of those buildings essentially have been in place for more than 50 years. So you can imagine what that need looks like. These new buildings truly represent a gold standard, and we're ready to continue this investment in our students and teachers and staff with the building of 8 more in the next round of Blueprint schools. Now, in these first months of this new school year, I hope you've had a chance to really experience and engage with our schools, whether it be at a football game, back to school event, PTA, really doesn't matter. The engagement is something that we value, and I think it's something that everybody has to value moving forward as well. Because if you have, you'll know firsthand that there have been incredible things going on, and there have also been challenges that have gone on as well. And despite these challenges, or the narratives that say otherwise, I can tell you firsthand, after being in 5 schools today and over 45 schools already, that the narrative says something completely different. And there's magic going on behind the walls of our schools in the Prince George's County. Now, however, alongside the highlights and excitement of the new school year, we know it has also been pretty difficult at times as well. We've had a loss, or really a senseless loss, of a Duval student just not even a month or so ago. The discovery of firearm at a particular school. We also know that that I have to, as leader of this school district, really see it from not only the eyes of a leader, but as a PGCPS dad as well. I take pride in personally knowing that the things that I have to focus on as a dad are things that our school district and our parents and community will have to focus on as well. So if you see something in reference to issues that are out there, it's extremely important that we say something. We teach our students this, but I think it's just as important for our parents and our community members to ensure that that safe environment exists on a consistent basis. Now, in many cases, this school year alone, harm has averted itself by students who speak up. They say something when they see something, whether it be a weapon, a troubling social media post, anything that just did not sit in the manner that it needed to in the heart of a community member, a student. It truly takes the village, and ultimately the safety and success of our students is a responsibility that each and every one of us shares. And that includes not only us as a school district, but parents, guardians, aunts, uncles, grandparents, community members, anyone and everyone who through the diligence and attentiveness and care has really the power to help prevent items that don't belong in our schools from reaching the front door. Now, we brought this message to a collective group responsible to really take a close look at what we can do different and what some of the major issues are out there. I held a virtual school safety action forum weeks ago, and I encourage you, if you have the opportunity, really just go back and take a look at that conversation. There was some rich conversation. There was some rich concerns, and really is leading to some partnerships that I think will make a difference as well. You can go to our PGCPS YouTube channel to check it out. Now, I can assure you that the team here at PGCPS is really doing their best to do their part. This school year, we're being as proactive as possible and implementing our new safety measures that were actually put into motion over a year ago. These measures include clear backpacks for high school students and new security screening technology at many of our high schools that is happening as we speak. These are really an extra layer of safety, but this additional technology and safety and visibility is extremely important, but it's not the only thing that is going to be effective moving forward. We have to ensure that we look at the broader picture and collectively commit to being the safest community that we can. We also know that the ongoing investment in mental health and counseling services are at the heart of our overall school culture and safety. PGCPS will continue to really invest in mental health supports, including something that I'm pretty excited about, which is the teletherapy that we've introduced. This is a service which is available at no cost to all of our PGCPS students and staff. And I think that's extremely important to articulate as well. We know that not only our students over the course of the last couple of years during the pandemic, but many of our staff have had a tough time as well. And this is an opportunity to really take advantage of a service that can be very helpful. Another key area we will continue to look at is operations. I've heard loud and clear the challenges around transportation from our families, and it's clear that we want to do something a little bit different. And it's a long-standing issue from what I've learned that really deserves a long-term solution. This week, we really moved forward with an audit, and we're utilizing an outside party by the name of Formative. That's spelled the number 4, MATIV. And Formative Consulting Group is one of the best in the country. This audit will not only help us to take a close look at our different practices of bus routes, bell schedules, but will allow us, once we get this audit back, to determine exactly what we need to do to execute on being a better operations/transportation service that we want to provide. Now, in the meantime, we're going to continue to send bus routes updates through School Messenger. So it's extremely important that families update their contact information in the family portal so that we can be in touch with you if needed be. We'll also continue to update open bus routes or on the different school websites. So please take a look at your individual school website where your child attends so that you can get that information there also. It's also critical that once we can ensure that our students arrive at school on time, that they are greeted by schools that are fully staffed with highly qualified teachers and administrators. I'm committed to exploring new ways to attract talent to every portion of our school districts. We know that one of the pieces that we're going to have to focus on is growing our own. And we're excited about some of the initiatives that will come along with that as well. Now, in December, I'll be presenting the FY24 operating budget, and every dollar spent must align with our commitment to students and equity. Our budgeting process will be transparent, community-driven, and focused on supporting initiatives that really advance the school system's short and long-term priorities as a whole. The feedback that I hear from tonight and the other town halls will play a large part in shaping our spending priorities to really meet the unique needs of each community within the Prince George's County. I will also invite your input and collaboration specifically for the budget development process in the coming months. So please look out for it as well. Now, tonight's virtual town hall and those that we've had have been about hearing from you. And it's in hearing from you, whether it's a question or a comment, feedback, we'll utilize this lens to consider what's working, and what we can do better as well. Now, before we get into the most important part of this evening, which is the Q&A, of course, I want to underline my commitment to transparency, really to being held accountable and communicating with our community, our students, our staff. That is extremely important to me and something that I have valued in my 28 years in public education. As we implement this first 90-day transition and entry plan, you can expect updates from not only me, but my team. And these will be updates in reference to important mile markers, including the transportation audit once we get it back. Together, we'll work towards equity and learning, school safety, operational efficiency, and developing a budget that truly reflects the shared values and priorities that we want to see. So with that being said, I want to thank you for being here tonight, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts, your comments, your questions, your ideas as we embark on this journey towards a more equitable and inclusive educational system in the Prince George's County system. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent House. We appreciate that introduction. We will now get into the most important part of tonight, which is our Q&A. As a reminder, we do invite you to share your questions via the YouTube chat. Be sure to write the word question in front of your inquiry so one of our moderators can grab it and pass it on to us to add to our queue. And we will answer as many questions as time allows, both those submitted in advance and through the chat. So our first question concerns early childhood learning, special education, and hiring. The question is from Rebecca and Ron Boschel from Charles Herbert Flowers High School. Mr. House, as a service provider in the Infants and Toddlers program, which supports children with special needs between 0 and 4 years of age, I am concerned about the lack of staffing to address the increase in referrals in eligible children and families. This past year, our program saw an unprecedented increase in the total numbers of children in needs of service. The first 3 years of life are so critical for development and the prevention of future delays. We need your administration to recognize the value of investing in services for our youngest learners and their families, including hiring and retaining quality special education staff. What does your administration intend to do to increase funding, promote full staffing of this program?
You know, I couldn't agree more. The early years and early childhood opportunities for students are a must, and it makes a huge difference. The data tells us that. What we do know is that the Infants and Toddler program has really experienced an increase in eligible children in the past few years. To meet these needs, 11-month positions were created most recently, going back to 2020, 22, 20, 21, and 22 for PGCPS teachers and therapists to ensure continuous year-round services. Now, one of the things that I want to really share as well is that legislatively, it will be important. I was actually just in a meeting earlier today with Senator Joanne Benson. And one of the things that we talked about was early childhood supports and being able to provide even additional dollars to fund as many early childhood teaching positions, early childhood funds to support kids. So it's definitely something that's important, and we want to continue down that road to only get better there.
Thank you, Superintendent House. The second question, this was also pre-submitted. This comes from Greenbelt Elementary School, Alexander Barnes. This is around academics and testing. How do specialty schools improve the percentage of students who are passing the MCAP exam?
So how do specialty schools improve the percentage of students who pass MCAP exams? You know, it starts with leadership, quite frankly, and making sure that we have instructional leaders that are continuing to grow. You know, when we have an instructional leader at the helm, you help a school community grow, culture around instruction grows. So it's extremely important that, you know, around the theory of action that we start with leadership. Once we have that that theory of action and instructional culture built. It's something that we progress monitor over the course of time, whether it be with feedback or evaluations. The expectation for all schools is great teaching every day in every class. This includes specialty programs and any and everything. Great teaching aligned with a review of data will allow teachers to have a differentiated approach to ensure that all students are moving forward, whether it's on the MCAP or on daily testing, but we want to see that progress that the students deserve.
We have another question. This one is around special education. This comes from a teacher and parent, Miss Janae Keat. Ms. Keat's question is, PGCP phased out self-contained special education classes in elementary schools. Students went from full-day support of the SPED team to a pull-out model. Is there any plan to add special educators to general education classrooms? And how will students who need self-contained classes receive support?
Now, as a part of the CSEP, the CSEP phase-out plan, which she described, the Department of Special Education determines resources, also professional learning and additional staffing for each school based on the projected enrollment of students that transition from early childhood centers. The Department of Special Education continues to realign existing positions to support the phase-out transition at neighborhood schools as well. So we'll continue with that transition, but continue with the supports along the way also.
Thank you. I'm going to jump to a question that we've pulled out of the live chat, and this is around staffing. The question is, can volunteers be utilized to serve as aides or help out teachers in the classroom, given the teacher shortage?
I want to encourage, thank you, first of all, for the question, because that's, in my opinion, what giving back and engagement is all about. I want to encourage as many individuals that would like to engage either with the school or with the school district as a whole to get involved. Volunteering does require a background check that has to happen. So you can either go through your school to sign up and move forward with that background check, and work with your school to ensure that the goals and mission that's being focused on at that particular school are being accomplished. So yes, we want that engagement. It's important that we have you working in your school and in your community.
Our next question is around mental health and virtual learning. It comes from Greenbelt Elementary School, Miss Jana Robinson. With mental health being a focus, has there been any serious discussion around moving towards a 4-day school week? If not, can there be? Even moving towards a virtual option 1 day a week, or increasing the school day by a few minutes 4 days a week so that we could be off on the 5th day would be helpful. Could this be looked into?
We can look into any and everything. It hasn't been something that we have considered. But we will take that insight. Now, I don't know if there are specific requirements. I've worked in a handful of states across the country, and some states have particular requirements in terms of the number of hours that a student has to be in school. And that's not to say that during a 4-day week, a student couldn't get the number of hours necessary to make up the required amount that the state requires. So duly noted, and we will take a look at it from a mental health perspective. It's interesting, but because I have seen a few small school districts across the nation that have chosen that route, but generally when they've chosen that route, it's been from a funding perspective. So it's the first time that I've heard it articulated from the standpoint of mental health. So thank you for that question.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Friendly High School, Mr. Thomas Walden, and it is regarding AirPods and cell phones in the classroom. I am a science teacher in the county, but I spend 70% of my efforts just telling students to put the cell phones away and to take the AirPods out. We spend all of this money on education and then we lose its value because students are listening to music and not the teacher. My question is, can we do something at the county level to ban AirPods in school and to restrict cell phone usage? Having a policy is not enough. It needs to be enforced countywide.
So when we say countywide, I imagine he's talking about the Prince George's County Public Schools and not the county, our council. But what we can do, which is something that we take a close look at on an annual basis, is really add it as a part of the conversation with our code of student conduct. So we will take note of that concern and take a close look at the feedback from our educators to see how much of a disruption it has been at not only this site, but other sites as well.
Thank you. We are going to skip back over to a question on special education. We received a lot of advanced questions around special education. This one comes from Ms. Jennifer Edwards from the PGCPS Office of Psychological Services. Her question is, what is your plan to guide the Department of Special Education in establishing and equitably distributing a continuum of services for children with disabilities? As of now, it feels like only students with parents with the means to hire advocates can access appropriate services in a timely manner for their children. And this is not how the law was designed.
So the Department of Special Education will continue to assess the staffing allocations across the entire district, regardless of whether someone has an advocate or not. A free and appropriate education is deserved for every child, regardless of whether they have special needs or not. Each year, this is a process that we go through. Of course, when enrollment increases at particular schools, we look at adding particular staff. We look at programs. All students with disabilities, regardless whether they are in general education classes or the setting, are provided with and deserve the support that they need to ensure that the resources for their teachers, the resources for students are on deck. So we will continue to look at every IEP or every IEP team will continue to look at each IEP, each child to really recognize what the best services are for those students.
Thank you. We are going to take another question from YouTube now. And these are actually around health. There are two questions that sort of go together around health. We are behind other Maryland jurisdictions on school-based health clinics. Montgomery County builds one in every new school. They have 25 clinics and we don't have functioning clinics. And the other question is, how can we include school-based health clinics in all of our schools to help with the racial health gap across the county?
You know, one of the things that I mentioned in my opening statement was the blueprint schools, and a part of that footprint in our 6 schools that are opening this year. 5 have opened already. 1 is opening very soon, so 6 total. But what's common about each one of those is the community schools push. Community schools does allow for a space for clinics in those schools. So our hope is to continue the partnerships and the planning so that we can open those clinics to serve communities that may be disenfranchised, that may not have some of the services from a medical standpoint that students and community need. So we want to expand that. As I mentioned also, we'll be moving forward to open and build 8 more schools. So of course, doing the math, 8 plus 6, that's a chunk. But there are a number of other communities, a number of other schools that we know need to have these kinds of supports, and we'll continue to explore how we can expand and provide these supports.
Thank you. The next question regards autism testing and comes from Ms. Lisa Wagstaff from Legends Charter School. She asks, how do you get assistance to have a child tested for autism if your school is non-responsive?
So it'll be important to contact our special education department, our K-12 office. There's the phone number, I believe is area code 301-702-2890. Again, you can reach the special education department to make that request at 301-702-2890. You should be allowed to discuss your concerns with your assigned special education instructional specialist that can provide additional insights on how you can move forward to ensure that your nonverbal child or child that needs testing and what that can look like. Yep.
The next question comes from Jacqueline Cunningham from Excel Public Charter School and is around financial literacy. She asks, can financial literacy be made a requirement in all PGCPS schools?
So currently, just actually had a meeting last week with JA, Junior Achievement, and currently financial literacy is a graduation requirement as well for PGCPS. So all students in high school will take this course. But we also know that there are opportunities to start even earlier than high school. So we're happy with the work that we're doing with Junior Achievement as well, that allows every 7th grader in the district to move forward and be a part of a simulation of what it is to run a business, what it is to have the financial means to run that business, run your household. So that 7th grade year is an opportunity for all of our 7th graders. And then as they matriculate to high school as well, there's other opportunities that are requirements for all PGCPS high school students as well.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Padrika Horton from Columbia Park Elementary School and is around libraries. She said, how are you as a superintendent planning to address the lack of libraries in many of the elementary schools and charter schools? Considering the lower reading scores in this county, it would seem beneficial to have libraries in all of the schools, especially those schools in the lower income or Title I areas. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree. I think literacy is a civil right. It's one of the most important things that a student can acquire, and library is one of the mainstays in reference to making that happen. Currently, all PGCPS schools have libraries. If there's a specific concern about a particular school, I would recommend emailing Sherry Blom, and her email address is sblohm@pgcps.org. Again, any concerns in reference to libraries specifically can be sent to S as in Sam, BLOHM@pgcps.com. Thank you.
Thank you. We will take another question now from the live chat. This one is around academics, and our viewer would like to know what is being done to ensure students are equipped to do the work at their current grade level before passing them to the next grade. Are there any plans to provide tutoring for students?
So yes, we definitely want to continue providing tutoring to all as many students as possible. It's extremely important to know and to recognize that the pandemic did cause significant learning loss nationwide, and in order to really get to a place where students are back on track, it's going to take some remediation from a number of educators to be provided to students. So whether it's a virtual opportunity to connect from a tutoring standpoint. Those services are in place and will continue to be in place. We know it's extremely important. We also know that, good teaching consists of being able to teach the highest performing student all the way to a student that might be struggling. That's called essentially differentiating instruction. And those kind of professional development skills and opportunities are opportunities that we want to provide and continue building capacity with our staff.
Thank you, Superintendent House. Our next question is it's an academics question concerning advanced Spanish offerings. It comes from Ms. Gina Bowler from the Spanish Immersion Program at Kettering Middle School. Will PGCPS move beyond the status quo approaches to implement program updates that expand access to higher level Spanish courses in grades 9 through 12, whether that be in person, virtual, online, or hybrid? This is especially important for scholars who demonstrate readiness and in support of scholars for whom English-Spanish bilingual skills and credentials are important to college and career goals. I am referring to the critical need for PGCPS to expand access to high school Spanish courses and course sequences.
The interesting thing about this question is I think about our growing community. We are a growing community. Our racial makeup is actually a little bit different from the rest of what we're seeing in school districts across Maryland. We have 39–40% of our student body now that are of Latinx descent. So, with that being said, we know that there's going to be more Spanish speakers. We know that a student that is bilingual is an even stronger student. The research tells us that about the brain. We also know that PGCPS offers Spanish courses from intro to Spanish at the 7th grade, inclusive to Spanish 2 honors for school year 23-24. We'll be offering up to Spanish 6 AP. Again, Spanish 6 AP. So there's lots of opportunity to provide students with that higher level support that may be needed. Native speakers will have the opportunity to climb to level 4 as well. High school also offers the upper level Spanish courses based on the students' enrollment and what we know about the student and courses that they've had already and experiences that they've had.
Thank you. Our next question comes from the Henderson family, who have students in both Judge Sylvania Woods Elementary School and Kenmore Middle School. And their question is around our uniform policy. They'd like to know if you might consider making every school a uniform school. Why or why not? Could the topic be something that parents and guardians vote on?
As a superintendent, I haven't taken that consideration in reference to going district-wide in reference to uniforms. I have worked in a school district at one point in my career that was a all uniform school district. But what we'd like to do is to provide community engagement, that individualized approach to letting particular schools and communities make that determination. So I haven't moved forward with the idea of going district-wide with 133,000 students being in uniforms. One of the things that I also know is that it takes some extreme planning. When we were in a school district of about 40,000 42,000 when we implemented school uniforms for every school. But what we found is that the supply was not there, and we had to move forward with a phased-in approach. But with all that said, it is not an approach that we are looking to move forward with. We'll allow those individual school communities to engage their students, their communities, to make those determinations.
Thank you. We have a question now from a community member, Ms. Sharon Willingham, and the topic is athletics, specifically athletic staff. When will Prince George's County hire sports medics as school-based employees? Our athletes are playing at risk of serious injury, and we do not have adequate coverage. My son recently was injured during a football game, and while there was an EMT there and he was able to offer some assistance, one attendant is not enough for these games. Montgomery County was able to hire school-based medics and provide benefits. For the contracted medics, surely we can do the same. What is the plan for providing medical coverage for our athletes?
Now, as indicated in the concern in question, we did contract with EMTs to have some kind of medical support on site at our athletic events. But we're currently in the midst of making some modifications so we can bring back our school-based, hire as many sports medics as possible. We had several that were on staff, and there was kind of a last-minute change in a couple districts outside of us, and that allowed for additional pay and additional days of work. So we'll be making some modifications and bringing it to the budget cycle to take a close look at.
Thank you. We have another question that is around athletics, submitted by a parent. Athletics has been one of the stronger programs in this county, but since COVID, there has been a steady decline due to the athletic office being in disarray. What processes and updates do you plan to put in place for athletics in PGCPS? What is the plan to be transparent about facility, track, field upgrades, training, coaches, and providing needed safety equipment for all sports at all schools?
What we know is, and it was one of the first groups in my first month or so in being in the school district that I had a chance to connect with and meet. And we have a small group, so we'll be taking a close look at what kind of support our athletics office has. PGCPS has a rich history of athletics, and we know that we're seeing some sports that are being lifted up, from football to basketball, to seeing a rise in the number of soccer players that are in our district as well. But regardless of what they play and where they play it, we want to ensure that they have the opportunity to do so in an equitable manner. Not every site has the incredible turf field or incredible new athletic auditorium. But as we move forward, those are things that we're taking into consideration, whether it be as a part of our blueprint or typical capital needs as we move forward.
Thank you. This next question comes from a Baden Elementary School parent, and it's about transportation. What is being done about the transportation services for our students? The Stop Finder app does not work consistently. The bus is coming later and later to pick up and drop off students, with notifications coming after we call to inquire where our child is. And children are helping temporary or substitute drivers navigate the route. Additionally, some of the bus stops are located in unsafe areas.
I specifically remember hearing about this particular bus situation that was kind of top of mind, and we're reviewing this particular process at Baden Elementary School, and the particular stops that we were having issues. We'll be looking at adjustments to be made and timing adjusted by next week in this particular situation. It's an ongoing process. As I also mentioned earlier, we're taking a look at all of our schools, all of our buses, our systems and processes to ensure that we have additional enhancements to have the activated and allow longer viewing times and visibility to see the trip path in the app. If you'd like to share more details of what's working or what's not working consistently, please use our transportation resolution system. which the email address to really dive in and provide that feedback is TRS, and it's actually a website. It's trs.pgcps.org, and that will allow you to go in and share some of your thoughts specifically around whether it's a stop, whether it's the app. Now we also have implemented a call system, which is of course School Messenger, and it provides an opportunity to notify parents of their bus status. Now we'll continue to work to send messages on a regular basis. Now each day, new issues for my team might arise. If a bus has been consistently late for 5 days, a week or more, please reach out to us and make sure that you share those details as well. Again, you can go to the website trs.pgcps.org to be able to provide that information. Now, based on the available drivers for each day, route, coverage changes, so having standard routes for temporary drivers may not be the most feasible at a particular time. Drivers do have access to GPS-enabled devices that can provide turn-by-turn directions as well. PGCPS, as I indicated earlier, provides safe transportation to and from school, and we want to ensure that the experience only continues to get better. For those of you that might not be bus riders, it's important to know that students living beyond 1.5 miles for elementary students and 2.5 miles or more for middle school students can be assigned or whatnot. So we want to be able to, again, provide the best service. We're looking forward to the feedback that this audit will provide us so that we can continuously get better.
Thank you, Superintendent House. That's actually a perfect segue to a transportation question we pulled from the live chat. Someone is asking, when do you expect the transportation audit results to be available?
Good question. Okay, so what we know, Formative is the company that is providing the audit. They've indicated that the audit would take about 90 days. They're going deep into all of our systems and processes. So we expect to be able to share findings of the audit when we have a 90-day rollout and 90-day findings. So we're looking forward to sharing that information probably January.
And one more also from the chat on transportation while we're here. This is a question/suggestion. Someone asks, would you consider asking the governor to do a voluntary mobilization of Maryland National Guardsmen from the transportation unit who hold a CDL license to help with the bus driver situation?
Hasn't been something that has been thrown out as of yet. We know that it's a big issue nationwide. There are some school districts that have less of an issue with it, but there are a number of us that do have the issue with it. So we'll take all ideas under consideration as we move forward. But again, the transportation audit is the big piece that we're looking forward to really getting feedback so that we can move forward with some of the recommendations and execute in a manner that allows for the kind of fidelity that we know can make a difference.
Thank you. This next question comes from Charles Herbert Flowers High School from Helene Diallo. It's a safety question. What can be done to address drug use on school property? Why are students allowed to walk into school with drugs in bags or smelling like it? There should be consequences.
It's interesting. Today I visited one of our specialty high schools that even has half day. It's actually, many of the students at the school have had offenses, this particular high school. But I think it's also important to know that we've created a a liaison investigator position with the Office of School Safety and Security to really work with the local municipalities and their police departments, the courts, Department of Juvenile Justice, State's Attorney's Office, and Student Services to really track and monitor any arrest of students caught in violation of PGCPS policies. We're also in the midst of participating in the National Drug Take Back campaign, or we will be participating in the National Drug Take Back campaign that will be held specifically at High Point High School. We heard loud and clear during our first listen, learn, and lead, and moved forward as a result to move forward with this take back opportunity. It'll happen again at High Point High School this Saturday, October the 28th, 2023. And no questions asked. If someone knows of illegal substances, drugs, pills, whatever, edibles, they can bring them and have them dropped off with no questions being asked. We have also instituted, as you may be aware, if you're at the high school level, the mesh backpack policy for all high schools and a few middle schools as well. And we're working with our Office of Student Services to determine the course of action that can be taken in regards to students that may have the odor of drugs that was mentioned, but may not be found to have them in possession, because we know, that is can be a concern as well. So that's definitely something that's top of mind for the district.
Thank you. This next question is also around safety. It's around vape, and the viewer asks, can there be an anti-vape policy placed in schools and on school buses?
So we're closely, this is something that came up in the first listen and learn as well. And we have in some schools moved forward with vape sensors in particular areas that have been a major concern. Currently, vape devices are prohibited in all PGCPS schools, properties, including on buses, as was mentioned. Any vape device that is confiscated and disposed of in accordance to this policy will continue to happen as it's written in the policy.
Thank you. We're gonna also now pull some more questions out of the live chat. We have two questions around school culture. The first one is, can you provide some understanding as to why school administration would have the posture of keeping parents out of the school building and classrooms? This prevents volunteers from helping out in classrooms.
So as I mentioned earlier, it's important to work with your school to determine where the needs are in that particular school. We also are working very closely to ensure that we provide a safe, orderly culture, an environment that's welcoming. This is a conversation that we had with principals just in the last couple of weeks. We know that an inviting environment fosters the kind of learning and the kind of community support that we want to see. And we always want to continue to ensure that our community is engaged and feels the kind of welcoming environment and culture that they deserve. So it's definitely a part of what we continue to coach, what we continue to preach, and we expect to be an even better service provider in terms of customer service and culture as we move forward.
Thank you. And the second question that sort of circles on school culture, the statement/question is, there are parents who would love to volunteer and assist in their school, but might not be able to afford the background check. Is it possible that the school district could help to lower or offset the cost?
It's something that we can take a look at during the budget season. We'll be determining what those priorities are, and priorities are just that. They're lifted up in a priority order to determine. exactly what raises a higher concern in terms of support financially than other items. So we'll take a look at everything. There are some organizations. I actually met with an organization today, and the organization escapes me that is looking for the idea of providing support for some volunteers and paying for their background check. If that organization pops up in my head and in the next little bit, I'll definitely let you know. So yes.
Thank you. A couple questions around academics that we've pulled from the YouTube live chat. One person asks, what are there plans to build talented and gifted tag only middle and high schools, similar to a Glenarden Woods or Heather Hills? So plans to build tag only middle and high schools.
So one of the things that I have tasked my cabinet, my team to is innovation. So as a part of what we'll be doing to start out next school year, we will be taking a close look at different programs, different innovations, meeting the needs of industry, meeting the needs of community. So it's important to know where the opportunities are so that we can prepare kids for those opportunities post high school, post K-12. So innovation is a part of what that's all about. So we'll be taking, again, a close look at the needs and aligning those needs to the preparation and the funding moving forward. But we are looking forward to the continued opportunities for innovation and opportunities for kids.
Another academics question. They ask, are the 3 Montessori school administrations sharing lessons learned so that all schools can reach a 5-star status? So do schools share best practices, lessons learned to elevate lower performing schools to higher?
So one of the practices that we do have at really all schools is that we bring like schools together. As a matter of fact, today was the opportunity for elementary administrations to come together in different areas to do just that, share what our goals are moving forward, our priorities in alignment with the data at those particular sites. We do it at the high school level. And we want to make sure that those opportunities exist for other specific programs as well. I'll take a close look and working with my chief of schools to see if those specific programs, whether it be Montessori or early childhood, to see if they are getting time. One of the things that we are trying to prevent is pulling principals out too much to be able to be the instructional leaders in their schools and provide the kind of supports and services to ensure that their schools are growing. But we'll take a look at what some of these opportunities could be if they don't exist already, to make certain that we're taking advantage of our technology, whether it be a virtual opportunity or in person. But we'll definitely take that note down to make certain that that opportunity exists if it doesn't already.
Thank you. Superintendent House, we can switch gears a little bit now. We have a few questions around hiring, teacher recruitment, teacher retention. The first one was pre-submitted by a parent, and it specifically addresses special educator hiring. And they ask, how are we working to hire additional special educators within the county? What are we doing about the current shortage and the fact that our children with special needs are not being provided with appropriate special education services?
You know, we're gonna really move forward. I actually met with a couple of college presidents most recently, and I want to make certain that we develop pipelines, and that pipeline might exist in looking in the mirror as well. We are one of the only certifying entities in the state in terms of being a public education certifying entity. So grow your own programs are going to be very important, regular ed and special ed teachers, but we're also going to have to ensure that we attract, whether it's taking a close look at our practices, taking a close look at listening to the feedback from teachers and what they provide to us in reference to what it takes to stay. We have to engage. So we'll continue to work with our collegiate partners. We'll continue to look at avenues to certify teachers. It has to be a multiple pathway approach to really take a stab at this issue.
Thank you. The next question in the same vein comes around teacher retention. It was submitted by Brittany Williams from Phyllis E. Williams Spanish Immersion. She asks, how will teacher retention and pay increases for teachers who are school-based be a part of the strategy to improve countywide outcomes?
So it's interesting having an opportunity to work in a handful of school districts in my 28 years. And this has been a concern in several different places across the country. But it's important to engage. We have to hear from teachers. As a matter of fact, when I closed tonight, I was going to talk about a survey that we want to make sure that we give insight in and around. But those kind of data points really allow for us to be provided with the insights of what it is that teachers need. Is it the mental health supports? Is it the pay? Is it the step increases over the course of time? Teachers generally do this work for a few different reasons, not just all the pay, but they love the idea of seeing the growth of our students. But again, we have to listen to our educators. We have to engage with them in a few different ways to make certain that we build upon whatever it is that we know will keep our educators in place.
Thank you. We have another question around teacher incentives. It was submitted by Clark Baker of Woodmore Elementary School. They ask, I remember when there were financial incentives when I started working for PGCPS back in 2008 for staff members who did not use leave. That incentive disappeared around 2010 from what I recall. Have we considered bringing back any type of incentive system that would reduce the amount of time full-time staff members take off? It can sometimes be discouraging to see fellow staff members miss the amount of days they've been missing. It's even more challenging, as I'm sure you know, to find substitutes.
It's a great concern. And whether it's an incentive program or bonus, whatever it may be, we're open to looking at different options if they have shown documented success. So thank you for kind of the rollback in terms of what has been done. I think you mentioned between 2008 and 2010. We'll go back and take a look at that data and see whether it could have some value add for the future. Thank you for that.
And we have another question. This one is around regards school nurses and overtime for school nurses. Why can't county employed school nurses be paid overtime if they would want to build more student engagement by creating a health and wellness after school club for students who may be interested in healthcare? Why are school nurses forced to be so separated from what teachers and other faculty and staff have the ability to do? For example, coaching sports or starting clubs.
School nurses have had quite the last few years. They have really been heroes in our schools and in our communities, quite frankly. And we're open to different ideas around health and wellness. So we'll take a look at those ideas. We'll open up the conversation to see if those possibilities exist. Now, we also know that students have the opportunity, especially at the high school level, to create clubs and have sponsors as well. And so that may be another avenue to take a look at, wellness clubs for groups of kids that want to, really pay attention to increasing the knowledge base around them in their high schools for something like this.
Thank you. And one more question around hiring. This is a more general question that was submitted through the live chat. They ask, in general, what is being done to hire teachers? Are we exploring any innovative methods? My senior is in a trig class, which has had no teacher since the beginning of the year, and substitutes rotate in and out.
So we are continuing to hire and onboard new teachers daily. Quite frankly, it's just not enough. There's been COVID really made a huge impact in public education, but we are doing our best to create the environment to grow our own, develop relationships with multiple different institutions so that we can grow our own, ensure that we have the highest quality substitute teachers on board as well. But the bottom line, we know that it's still not enough. We have teachers that I know are covering classrooms that are not theirs, doing above and beyond the call of duty on a daily basis. And that's something that we know and appreciate on a daily basis. It's what it's going to take so that we can equalize this issue as we move forward.
And Superintendent House, you mentioned, I know when, speaking about hiring teachers or just in general, just building pipelines, we have one more person from the chat, Miss Maria Gonzalez Jackson. She is the parent of a student at the Academy of Health Sciences at Prince George's Community College, which houses a teacher preparation program. And she would like to know, are there plans or could there be plans to expand that program to other high schools in the district, particularly given the need with building that teacher pipeline?
Great thought. And it's something that we are thinking about as well. I mentioned earlier, probably 10 or 15 minutes ago, around different innovative ideas and opportunities to expand throughout the school districts. Those innovations and opportunities really need to be innovations that meet specific needs, not only in the industry outside of the school district, but also for the needs inside of the school district as well. So we will be looking at the possibility of expanding with different programs, whether it be a teaching program, whether it be other magnet opportunities that we know are in demand or have some kind of demand at some place to support the county or to support the school district as a whole. But definitely something that we are thinking through as we move forward in the strategic work.
Thank you. I want to move on to a few more questions that we've pulled from the YouTube live chat. And I want to thank all of our participants for engaging and for these questions. We're hoping to get through as many as we can. This question is a parent who would like to know who they should speak to regarding an issue they're experiencing with their child regarding the child's IEP. They are an IEP student.
So I mentioned earlier that we have special education staff that is going to be important to reach out to. And that email address, I'll provide it one more time if someone missed it earlier. But it's important, whether it be an IEP, whether it be a specific issue that has to do with 504. We encourage our community to take a close look. And I'm trying to think of, it was actually, I believe, phone number that we provided. If we don't mind, in the chat, can we provide our special education phone number or website for that individual to ensure that they have a contact to reach out to?
Yes, we will definitely have our moderators share that information in the live chat.
Thank you.
Another question around academics. Superintendent House, earlier you did touch on the impact of COVID, sort of on student performance. And we have a parent who asks, what are we doing to help students who are struggling with academics due to the pandemic? What are some of the things that we're doing?
So from credit recovery to after school tutoring, to assessing kids when the need arises. There's been millions of dollars poured into academic supports with ESSER relief as well that support the three items that I just mentioned also. But what we also know is that it's going to take going above and beyond. A majority of the students in the United States that struggled during kind of the surprise approach that COVID brought along to online teaching and learning. We know that just as much time that went by during COVID, it will take that kind of time or more to really get students where they need to. But we are committed to continuing to provide those tutoring, credit recovery, summer school supports, especially when it comes to literacy and computation for our youngest learners. And when it comes to the credit recovery and graduation credits, we want to ensure that every kid has the opportunity to walk across that stage and be prepared from the standpoint of being college or career ready.
Thank you. We have a question from the chat around school start times, specifically for high school students. They ask, would you consider making all high school start times at the same time? Many students hold part-time jobs, and studies have shown prolonged start times can assist students with financial barriers.
We're going to be looking at all of our priorities across the board. One of the things that I expect coming from our transportation audit, I expect to have some kind of recommendations around bell schedule, start times. So I know the question was specifically around being able to provide an environment that allows a high school student to work. But what we've seen as a big issue, on the other hand, is the major issues with transportation. So we'll be looking at competing priorities and what can be fixed, what can be focused upon. We know we have to have students to get to school on time on a consistent basis. Does that raise up as a bigger priority than what it is to provide an opportunity for a student to be able to work and support their family as well? Both are very important, and we'll be taking a close look at all the priorities as we move forward in the strategic work and as we receive this audit that comes back as well from Formative.
Thank you, Superintendent House. We have a question from the live chat, another question around special education. This one comes from Drew Freeman Middle School, and they would like to know what type of supports are being given to teachers and staff, specifically for the new initiative of students with autism in the classroom. They say that they support this initiative, but feel that teachers and staff may need additional training or strategies for a successful implementation.
It's interesting. I had conversations with 3 kindergarten autism teachers today. Actually had them over to my office. One was actually a second-year autism teacher. The others had more experience. But what we know as educators, we have to continue to grow and develop. One of the things that we have instituted this year is to allow for teachers to be provided with professional development, not only after hours, but also sometimes they can be pulled out when the environment lends itself to the idea of having a substitute teacher. Not every teacher can go to a professional development after school. They have family responsibilities, some have second jobs as well. So we thought it was important to be able to open up our learning experiences and provide professional development. So that has expanded the number of educators that we can continue to build capacity over the course of time to and with. And we look forward to ensuring that as many educators as possible are provided with additional PD, whether it be specifically in autism or particular areas that really meet a particular need.
We have a question now from the chat around operations. They would like to know, what are your expectations of school administrators to be transparent when there are adverse conditions in the building or in classrooms? For example, mold or HVAC outages that exist in classrooms with parents being unaware. And this was submitted by a parent at Kingsford Elementary School.
It's fairly simple. We definitely want to be transparent. We also want to ensure that we work closely with our operations department to do the necessary mitigation in situations like that. Unfortunately, we have a number of buildings. Again, 50% of our inventory of 200 plus buildings is 50 years old. Even the building that I'm in is in that same ballpark, and we have our share of issues weekly as well. So we want to be as transparent as possible. We want to be as safe as possible. We want to ensure that we're mitigating any of the issues around deferred maintenance that may cause some of the issues that we've seen.
Thank you, Superintendent House. We have a question from the chat that is around teacher salaries. They say that teacher salaries have consistently been a deterrent to potential hires for a very long time. How can this issue be addressed to hire more teachers and retain as an incentive current teachers?
One of the things that we do have in the works is an overall salary study to take a close look at neighboring school districts, neighboring states, to ensure that we can do our best to come out on top in the recruitment and retention of educators. We know it's not all about pay as well. It's about conditions. It's about culture. It's about several different things to attract. It's about reputation. So we will continue to make this a part of what we do. The customer service goes along with this, how community treats school, how school treats community. All of those things work together to ensure that we combat this issue of retention and the recruitment piece. We definitely, as I mentioned earlier, will be taking a close look at a overall salary survey in the near future.
Thank you. We have another question from the chat. This one is around school culture. Student code of conduct was submitted by Ms. Christina Rice. She'd like to know if there's any plans to revisit the student code of conduct and revamp discipline policies, for example, detention, suspensions, expulsions.
There will be a review of the code of student conduct to take a close look at the data, the feedback. Again, I visited one of our very unique alternative opportunity high schools today, where things were going, wonderful in that particular school. But it's important that we balance the supports and the accountability to ensure that we have the kind of environments that allow for teaching and learning to happen in a conducive manner.
Thank you, Superintendent House. We've actually made it through a good deal of most of our pre-submitted questions, and also a good deal of our questions from the live chat. We're going to start wrapping up and sort of just making some time for some closing comments. But we do have one a comment from a PGCPS employee. Her name is Gina, and she says that she thinks it would be nice and she would appreciate it if 6 months from now, you had a listening session again where you can tell us about changes implemented from the sessions.
Excellent. Well, that is, we're looking to do that sooner than later, as we have our 90-day rollout. We'll be rolling out some of the expectations, the findings specifically, but a part of truly coming in as a leader is to continue to keep the engagement door open. So one of the things that I will be doing is moving forward with a student advisory council. That'll be something that will come out of my 90-day plan. I will be moving forward with an administrators advisory council. I'm also working closely with PCAC as well, which is a parent representation organization that we engage with and get feedback from on a consistent basis. So those are all, 3 different engagement opportunities that will start and continue on a consistent basis that will allow for the kind of engagement to see things through several different lenses that I think is very important from a leadership standpoint.
Thank you, Superintendent House. And before I pass it on to you for closing remarks, I do want to say something I think is important. That was a question that was asked earlier about assistance with fingerprinting fees for parents who might not be able to afford it, who'd like to volunteer. So apparently families that qualify for free and reduced price meals can have that fee waived if they bring that letter as proof to the fingerprinting office. So I think that's really important information. That's also, our moderators have put that information into the chat. So really good news.
Excellent. Well, thank you for following up on that, Megan.
And I will pass it to you to close it out.
Well, thank you, first of all, for the numerous questions, comments, concerns. Engagement is extremely important, and in each one of the town halls thus far, that engagement sometimes has been difficult. That engagement sometimes has been complimentary. I've received several emails as well that have been very expressive in terms of their support. I also want to share 3 things to really just plug tonight as I wrap up for this virtual town hall. Number 1, all of our town halls, as I mentioned earlier, are available for viewing on demand on our YouTube channel. So you can really go back at any time and watch any of them. I encourage you to do so, to really hear some of the engagement, hear some of the comments, hear some of the questions. Number 2, another opportunity to make your voice heard and share your school experience, perception, and ideas is really by taking the climate and culture survey. It opens to students in grades 6 through 12, families and staff, and it's currently open, if I'm not mistaken, but it closes on October 31st. So if you haven't had the opportunity to dive in and provide feedback in reference to the climate, the culture via our survey, please do so. You should be able to find that information on our website. Also, everyone who completes the survey is entered into an opportunity to win a $50 gift card. I didn't say everybody that does the survey gets a $50 gift card. I indicated that everyone who completes the survey is entered into I believe, some sorts of lottery to win a $50 gift card. The third thing is just a reminder to come out to the annual pre-K-12 specialty programs showcase November the 2nd at Charles Flowers High School. If you are a transition parent that you have a child in 4th, 5th grade or 7th or 8th grade, and you're wanting to look at different options for what your child may be interested in, what some of their strengths may be, this is the place to be. I tell parents all the time that it's not about placing your child in the school that you want them to go. It's placing, your child in the school that's the best fit for your child to build upon the strengths and successes that your child has. So I encourage you to come out to the pre-K-12 specialty program showcase again November the 2nd at Charles Flowers High School. Megan, again, thank you and Leah, our sign interpreters, as well as our Spanish interpreter, as well, for all your support and organization this evening. Hope you guys have a great evening.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.